I apologize. I was having technical difficulties, but it's good to see you. And so I wanted to talk today about getting a good night's sleep and why. I mean, of course, we want to feel rested. We want to do better throughout our day. That's one reason why it's so important to get sleep. But I thought about doing it, especially now, because our stress levels go high, sleep gets worse, and our immune system gets worse. And so, again, if I think about everything I can do to possibly help my patients through all of this, is sleep is a huge topic to stay strong and healthy through the pandemic. And so, when probably the most important and common question I get is actually how many hours of sleep actually should you get? And so 7 to 9 hours is ideal, and more people actually need 9 than 7. And it, it's about when you sleep that's the most important. So I will also talk more about that. And when if you are having trouble sleeping, know that you're not alone. About 25% of Americans not only suffer from trouble sleeping, but like consistently trouble sleeping. About 10% have chronic insomnia, and about 25% will label themselves as having periodic insomnia. And so maybe you get your 7, 8, 9 hours, but somehow you just don't wake up well rested. You feel like it could be deeper, and so I'll talk about that as well. I want you to know that getting good sleep is, and feeling well rested in the morning, it shouldn't be like, oh wow, I actually feel well rested. It shouldn't feel like a luxury. It really is so important. And it really, we have more control over it than we think as well. And there's lots of things and tips I want to give you today. And if you can just work on one at a time, that's perfect. There are little things that you think might not make a big difference, but they really will. And if you want to start making all the changes all at once, that's fine too. And so, one of the things is to not drink caffeine. If you think you're having trouble sleeping, is to take out all caffeine from your diet. The teas, the coffees, even the chocolate. You want to think about having caffeine. But if you really want to have the caffeine, I would at least not have it 10 hours before bed. So do the math and figure out when that 10 hours is. And it's a stimulant, and anything else that can keep you up, that sugar also is a stimulant. I would get rid of that, but caffeine would be priority. And so when to actually stop eating in general would be 3 hours before bed. And this one I actually used to do a lot myself. It'd be more like 2 hours. And so I pushed it to 3 hours, and I could feel a huge difference. If you eat and then you're trying to digest, all your energy is going towards digesting. The body can't go into relaxation and complete deep sleep because it's busy doing all of that. And so, um, also, you want to think about the less alcohol, the better. And that can be hard as well, stopping that 3 hours before sleep. But the alcohol can actually spike the blood sugar, and that can create all different imbalances in your sleep as well. A lot of times people will wake up in the middle of the night from the alcohol. And dairy, which we don't think of as actually having a problem with sleep, but it can be really congesting, and we can have trouble breathing, a lot more sleep apnea because of it. And if you tend to wake up in the middle of the night and have to go to the bathroom, urinate, I suggest not drinking any fluids 2 hours before bed. And if you go to sleep, you get up, you go to the bathroom, that's fine. You feel like, oh, well, I go back to sleep quickly, that's great. But you are missing some deep sleep, that waking up, even if it's quick and easy. So you might want to try, don't drink anything 2 hours before bed. And so what's really hard is, hi, Elaine, is if those two aren't hard, don't eat or drink caffeine, and 3 hours before bed, don't eat anything, then no screen time 2 hours before bed. And no, 1 hour before bed. Sometimes I tell people, okay, like let's try a half hour, because this can be really hard and it's like baby steps. But a full hour of no screen time before bed would be huge for people, and it would really, really help. Electronics is such a daily part of our life, now more than ever, being at home on the computer, being on our phones. And it's like, what's the last thing you do? Is you scroll through your phone before bed. And if we can just actually do some quiet time, this also means no TV. And if we really do some quiet time for that full hour, um, it's going to change people's lives. I think besides better sleep, there's lots of reasons to put down the screen. And it really, the screens themselves have a blue light that actually make you feel more stimulated, more awake, which is great during the day, but we actually need to stop that, get the body rested. And instead of blue light, like literally I'm talking about a certain wavelength of light. A orange or red lights are actually known to help us. They're the opposite end of the light spectrum. So we're talking about a different wavelength. There are actual red or orange light bulbs that you can buy and put in a certain lamp and have that lamp on within that hour. And that can actually even stimulate the body to start, calming down and relax. And when I'm thinking about light too, I'm also thinking about when you wake up in the morning, alarm clocks, which nobody really has anymore these days because we're always using our phone as our alarm clock. And first of all, you shouldn't have the phone next to you charging and getting all those EMFs. And so screen time with the blue light is one thing. And then EMFs is a whole nother concept. And so the EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies or radiation coming off of the cell phone, can also interfere with our sleep. I mean, sometimes we're just like literally sleeping with the iPad. And so if you think about putting no electronics in the room whatsoever, would be wonderful. If it's across the room and on airplane mode, that does make me happier. And if you really feel like you need to use it as your alarm, that's fine. But ideally, no electronics whatsoever. Go get an alarm clock, which is a separate piece of machinery. And I highly suggest the dawn stimulator, which will actually start creating small, like dim light, and then the light gets stronger and stronger and stronger. It starts the light about 45 minutes. If you set the alarm at 7, it'll start at 6:15, and then it becomes dark, stronger and stronger light, just like you normally would, that the body literally responds to, like the sun, circadian rhythm, and it really actually helps the body hormonally. Waking up to a really loud alarm clock is overstimulating. We all of a sudden are in that fight or flight mode as we're woken up, and that's not a really good way to start the day. It puts way too much stress on the body. And um, alarm clocks are okay. And obviously, if you can put it on low, that would help the fight or flight response. But then you're also worried about whether or not it's actually going to help wake you up. Now, as we're talking about going to sleep in that 1 hour of, and putting away all the electronics, I would want you to read a book, relax that way. There's other different things you can do, but you want to think about actually relaxing during this time. At least the last 20 minutes, if you can make it the same routine every time, would be even better. And read a book, meditate, listen to a visualization, maybe massage your own feet, take a bath, and lavender oils can really help, whether it's a lavender pillow spray or you're actually using lavender oil in the bath or the massage would be absolutely fine. And just like little kids need routines, we do too as adults, and we don't get, we don't do it. And so what time you go to bed is almost just as important as how many hours you get at night. It's really truly that important. And so this is going to be really hard for people, but if we can actually be asleep, not in bed, but actually asleep by 11 p.m. would be ideal. And so why I want you to be asleep by 11 or before 11 is that the body detoxes the majority. Literally, I'm thinking about how the liver detoxes throughout the day, and that gallbladder stores up the toxins in the bile, and then it gets released down the gallbladder duct into the intestines, and then the next day we get rid of it, we eliminate it through. That's the normal detox pathways. And the toxins, the majority of release from the gallbladder to the intestines is from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. So the body has its own circadian rhythm, and every organ has its different circadian rhythm. And so this is truly when it happens every night, no matter what. And if you're actually asleep between this time, 11 p.m. to 1 a.m., when those toxins get released, then your body can have the easiest, most efficient detox release, which is obviously important for so many health reasons. And so, also, if we're going to talk about timing, it's important to go to bed and wake up each day the same time, even on the weekends. The rhythm, again, makes it easier to fall asleep and get up. And fall asleep actually in complete darkness, which is hard. I definitely notice a difference with the sunlight. If you can get blackout curtains, you can sleep with a mask on your eyes. And this really helps as well because it helps actually produce the melatonin. When it's dark, then the brain stimulates melatonin, which helps with the whole sleep cycle. And if you're noticing that you're getting stressed, then that's when I would put in these extra parts of meditation or visualization or lavender. But what also can help is if you literally keep a journal by your bed and you journal during the last 10 minutes or 20 minutes or however long you want. You literally, I want you to physically write out whatever. It doesn't even have to make sense, but literally get it out of your system, get it out of your mind. And then that way, if it feels like it's out, then you can have a more restful sleep. Besides just meditating, sometimes almost like you're too much in your head, the meditation doesn't go well because the whole point of meditation is just still mind and get away from your thoughts, which can be too hard. That's one reason why I like the visualizations, because you're literally listening to somebody else. Somebody else is taking you through something. Somebody else is getting you out of your head. But then that's another reason why I like the journaling. But if meditation works for you and you can relax and still the mind, perfect. And breathing is also, it's quick, it's easy, and you can put that in right before bed as well. Or if you wake up in the middle of the night, that's the first thing I would do, is actually do some deep breathing with the diaphragm, because that stimulates the vagus nerve, which is all about the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the part of the nervous system that helps us to go to sleep. And then the sympathetic, which is that fight or flight mode that we want to get you out of, is the other part of the nervous system. So parasympathetic, relax and sleep with the breath. Inhale, and just 3 deep breaths can be enough to get the body, the mind to relax. And if you really use the power of intention, like, okay, with this breath, I will relax the body. And with the next breath, okay, with this breath, I will relax the mind. That will help. You can also literally, this is another exercise, tense the body up. Like literally, like tense your toes, tense your calf muscles, tense the legs, the arms, the fists, the face, the neck. Oh, hold it for 3 seconds and then just release it. And then almost like the contrast of tightening up on purpose and then relaxing it gets the body again to relax. It stimulates, like, oh yeah, this is what relaxation is. And sometimes we don't realize how much tension we're actually holding. So that type of exercise can help. with the breaths as well. Because there's so many reasons why people actually have trouble sleeping. I wanted to share with you different steps you can take and try besides, oh, just, meditate and everything will be okay. It could be as simple as breathing and then the tension and release. But besides stress, there's actual physical reasons why people have trouble sleeping, which could be bad gut flora. And we never think of, gut issues as having trouble sleeping, but parasites in particular can be nocturnal. They're more active at night, and so that throws the whole body and circadian rhythms out of whack. So if you have digestive issues and you have sleep issues, you might want to actually be checked for parasites. Um, Another reason why people physically would have trouble sleeping is blood sugar issues. Actually, where the blood sugar is too low and then the body doesn't get that deep sleep. And sometimes you can wake up in the middle of the night. If you feel like you're starving, then that could be part of the issue. And not like I really want you to eat in the middle of the night, but I also want you to get that good night's sleep. So just like I said, okay, don't eat, but if you really actually feel like you have a blood sugar issue, people who actually sleep eat, there's such a thing. They like literally get up and subconsciously, go to the kitchen and then like actually wake up in the middle of eating something. And sometimes it's not the best thing for them. They're just picked out whatever they, wanted, ice cream, candy bar, who knows what they're actually picking out. But there's such a thing as sleep snacking or sleep eating, which I help people with. But if you think your blood sugar is an issue in the middle of the night, and this is one reason why you're not sleeping well, I do suggest a sleep snack, which is very specific. It's not just any snack, but right before bed, actually, a sleep snack would be a spoonful of nut butter with honey or avocado on like a gluten-free cracker, because I want that protein plus a carb, which will help you sleep and get a better, deeper quality of sleep if the body is full. And so, um, one of the other reasons actually why people could have trouble sleeping, believe it or not, is not physically within themselves, but physically the full moon plays an effect, which I know sounds crazy, but it's been recorded with EEGs, how the brain sleep studies and everything, that the gravitational pull of the moon bothers the rhythm of the body. I mean, ER doctors, the staff, they know to put more doctors on a full moon. Teachers always say, "Oh, the kids were crazy," during the full moon week. A lot more EMTs, paramedics are busy that week as well. So there's no coincidence. And so you can always look at the calendar and be like, "Why am I not sleeping this week?" And it could be a few days before the full moon, it could be during the full moon, or a few days after. But there's a reason. And I think, the moon affects the waves, of the ocean, and we're 60% water. So somehow it pulls or has an effect on us. And so, what can actually help, besides all these little habits, is if you get a weighted blanket. I've never used one, so I actually don't know, and I would love comments. If any of you guys out there, excuse me, have used a weighted blanket and it helps, please let me know, because my patients have suggested it and patients love it. And for whatever reason, it's the weight on the body, like the pressure from the blanket. And there's all different ones out there. I don't know which ones work better or not. But somehow the pressure, I think, neurologically calms us down, right? We're too stuck in that fight or flight mode. And then it can calm us down. Um, the the pressure can get us out of that fight or flight mode. And I think of babies and swaddling. When you swaddle a baby, especially infants, you wrap them up really tightly in a blanket. It's supposed to be like the womb. So I wonder if that might have an aspect to it as well. And um, when I think about different things that we can do to also, it helps the body anyways, and it could help the body sleep, is earthing. And there are such things as earthing sheets that you would actually put on the bed. And the concept of earthing and these earthing sheets is that we are so full of positive ions from all the different chemical reactions throughout our body. The higher the stress, the higher the positive ions. And so when we do this, and that's what makes us acidic, all the positive ions. So the earthing and the earthing sheet produce negative ions. Literally, the sheet is plugged into the wall and it gets its negative ions through the outlet, and that the negative ions that are running through like attract the positive ions literally and pulls it out of our body and reduces the stress of the positive ions in our body. And these positive ions are oxidants. And so everyone talks about how great antioxidants are for, aging and all sorts of things. So, I mean, earthing can help with all sorts of things, not just sleep. Decreases inflammation, less stress on the body, helps with healing if you have sore muscles, jet lag, intense workouts, any type of headaches, improves blood flow, blood pressure. And so those would be the reasons why you would want to look into this. And actually, Netflix just got a documentary on earthing. I haven't checked it out. But if you guys have, leave those notes as well. I want to check it out anyways. Besides earthing sheets, excuse me, a very easy, simple, cheap would be a Himalayan salt lamp. And the salt, literally, the negative ions get released out through the air and can help that as well. It helps with your breathing. If anybody has any asthma or congestion, that should be on your nightstand, not your cell phone. And you guys have any questions? Let me see. Yes, and so Joe said CBD oil, which I absolutely do love. I get really great results with it with anxiety. So if you notice that your sleep is due to anxiety issues, I would suggest that at bed or even at dinner time. And actually, that gets you to relax. So by the time it's bedtime, you feel good and confident, to sleep, and that anxiety is off of you. Okay. Well, good to see you guys. Take care.